Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in on this episode of World of Tanks. Got a good replay here, actually. This is from Blazin' Joe. J-O-H. Joe TG. I don't know. He's in his M4190. Tier 8. German, American designed tank. Premium tank, very good scout, quite a good scout. He's going to come up here, he's going to get a shot into someone, light him on fire, and come out with 546 off of a JT. Goes up to that little middle spot, and we're going to pause it right here, because when he sent me this replay, he said, hey, what does it take to turn this into an ace tanker that ends up being a class 1? And that is an interesting question, because it really runs the gamut of the entire question about how do I do better in the game? How do I do more damage? How do I get more experience? All of those things. And it's one of those answers, it depends. But in general, if I'm being facetious, it's do more damage and get more assist, right? But there's the rub. How do I do that? What do I have to be doing in general to maximize damage and maximize experience? Well, I have to be shooting. Or I have to be spotting. I have to be close enough to do one of either one of those, preferably both if I can. Get some spotting damage, get some of my own damage, potentially with some tracking and other things like that. But that requires me to be near the enemy. And it requires me to position correctly. It requires me to reposition. And it requires me to create the conditions for shots and spotting and assist damage. And that means I have to be active. I have to go where those things are. I have to react to what's going on in this particular match. I have to have a good plan to begin with. I have to understand the maps and where those possibilities might be. But as the match starts to develop, I have to flex to wherever those spots are. So we're going to watch here as Blazin gets hammered by artillery. And he's going to come around here, and he's kind of in the middle. He's doing a little bit of spotting, and granted, he just dropped 546 damage. But at what cost? What is he doing now, right? He's in the middle. It's very dangerous, actually, out here in the flats. The enemy team has grabbed that high ground, and that's going to be a problem for his team to deal with. So he's going to kind of hang out here, and we've fired a couple times. That's a blind shot. Don't know if he actually hit anything right there. Now, what is Blazin driving? He's driving a really good scout with some great spotting capability, quite decent mobility, and really a good gun, even though he's bottom tier in a 357. Good news on a 357 is there's a lot of high tier tanks to shoot, and that gets him more experience. What has his team done? Well, the Kron is over there, and the enemy team has grabbed that hill. So let's just talk about this. Actually, I'm going to pause for just a minute before I get to the positioning bit. He auto-aims the 132, and if you zoom in on this guy, what he can see and what he lit, and I think he's already, there it is just the gun right there. So got very lucky. Hopefully you're not using an auto-aim mod, brother. But got very lucky right there. Probably grabbed his gun or something like when he went to auto-aim. But that's a rock. You can't even see that guy. So a really large reliance on auto-aim, and we see this a couple times in the game. It serves you well in a couple instances. It kind of boofs you a little bit. But at least the shot went down range, so that's a good thing. You know, you saw it, you auto-locked it, you took your shot, fine. Let's go back to the positioning question as I go back on to run here. That hill, while not critically important, is very important. Okay, some maps have hills that are absolutely critically important. This one is close to that, not quite. If you can hold them there and keep them busy and maybe retake it, that's a good thing. The Kron is the only reason you guys are not in big trouble, and the enemy team senses this, and here they come. Good news is some of your guys flex back to include you, but this was a very reactive move, and while it's a good move, and you did the right thing right here, there was no kind of active attempt to take the hill. And with this tank and its speed, you could have got up there and probably got a shot or two on someone's side and maybe help them control this hill a little bit. At this point, though, the reaction is good. You got a lot of friends, and you just punish this kind of YOLO push by this team that really kind of crushes their ability to win this game. They had that hill. They had some good tanks up there. They decided to try to push down, and they just ran into a whole lot of trouble right there and got waxed. So up to 1,089. Now let's go back to okay, I've done that. That's good. I like what's happening, but shouldn't I be moving right now to go look for a shot? I'm still in this kind of, I'm a tier 8 tank sniper mode guy. I'm going to hang back. I'm going to be second line sniper guy. And that time has passed at this point in the game. You got a good advantage, 4-1. You just basically cleared off that hill. As soon as those guys YOLO'd down, they got crushed, you should have pushed up and helped them take this hill. That's where the hit points were, right? you're messing around looking for a sniper shot here and there, but you could have got up into in these guys' faces and started getting some shots, and being an extra gun in there that they have to pay attention to. The more guns they have to pay attention to, the more opportunities all of you have to fire. And then we come around here, and I like the aggressiveness here. In fact, and this may be slightly over-aggressive, but the 44's got the Tiger too busy, and you just come rolling down here, and that's a really nice move, and the Tiger decides to shoot you. That just happens sometimes. Probably because he doesn't really want you to go around behind him. The Bulldog runs away because he's got all kinds of snipers after him, and now you're just farming this Tiger too. And that was a nice move right there. Well done. Probably not that big a deal to trade some hit points for all the ones you took off the Tiger too. And now we're going to go over here. Now let's think about this for a minute. Your question was, how do I turn this into an ace? My answer in general, in a meta size, is metastasize? No, meta size is you have to go where the hit points are. So take a look at this fight and go, all right, well, where are the hit points? Well, they're really all over on the west side. There's a Bulldog here you got to deal with. There's a 103 and a JT, but the JT, as you look here, is off to your right. Okay, you can actually see him on the map, and he doesn't have many hit points, but the 130 PM's got a ton of hit points, and I bet those dudes got all kinds of hit points. So I can go chase the Bulldog, and what it looks like you're doing is looking for the artillery. And while that may be an okay move for the team in general, the one artillery is probably not that big a deal. And if you look at an 8-4 situation right now, nice job here. You just come around here. You actually get a little bit of lucky tracks that helps you out with a assist. And now we back up and go, okay, I'm going to go look in a corner here for a 500 hit point artillery. When I know over on the west side, look at all the hit points over there. Even the Sturv is kind of in the middle, and you're going away from the hit points. Had you found the artillery, it would have been 500. You probably would have got shotgunned. And now we're going to come around this way and flex back over towards the hit points. You see the RU pushing through. He's found the GW. The GW has 29. This guy's got 95. I think you kill him. There you go. So you get 96. And we have to drive all the way down here. So just think about how much time that took right there. Now, there's certainly an argument to saying, all right, I want to help my team win, so I'm going to go look for the artillery. I'm a fast tank. I can do that. But that was not the question, right? The question was, how do I turn this into an ace? And the answer is shoot more, get more assists, go where the hit points are, get there faster, and start farming them from the enemy team. We come in here, drop the GW, and we push on in here. Now you've got a choice, right? You can try to come up behind this JPZ and IS-3. You decide to go right and come up through the buildings. I think that's not a bad decision, because if they both turn around, one of them can erase you, right? The one certainly is going to erase you. The other one is probably with a high roll at least going to put the hurt on you enough that you're probably not going to survive that encounter. So we're going to come around here. Not a bad idea. Come in here, start looking for this KV-4. And unfortunately, you've got guys up on your cap. Not a lot you can do about that kind of thing. We're going to come in here and auto-aim, I think, again. Yep, there we go. Get a shot in there. And now we're looking for another possibility, but we're auto-aimed and we mess around, and now we are capped out. There were more hit points to be had. You didn't really go where they were. So it's really not a surprise. It's still a good game. 2,402, 898, a Class 1. It was a Tier 8 tank. You got 4 kills. Definitely a big part of helping your team win. There's nothing bad about the game, but the question was, you know, how do I turn this into an ace? And the answer was a couple more hits of damage. And in some cases, you're going to have to take a little bit of a chance. And in other cases, you're going to have to be a little bit selfish and try to go where the hit points are. Sometimes the goal of winning is not necessarily tied to the goal of getting an ace tanker. Often it is, maybe the majority of the time, but sometimes there's maybe a little disconnect right there. And you have to take into account what's happening in the match. You guys were winning by a long shot. Probably wasn't going to hurt your team too much to go herring off and look for some of those shots. Granted, it is, what was it? I think I said it was an IS-3, but it's actually an IS-7 and a JPZ. So approaching them carefully is good, but getting over where those hit points sooner is maybe even better. Who knows if the artillery had been left alive, maybe he helps to reset the cap. Your guys are kind of spread around. Those are some good tanks that are left, 2 Tier 10s, but you've got 2 Tier 10s as well in there. So really the difference was probably a couple shots. And I talked about several different areas where you may have been able to get those. And I wouldn't worry about it too much. A Class 1 is a great game. This is a pretty dang good game for a 91 GF in the tiering situation that it is. But anytime you ask yourself, how could I have done better on a good game, it's usually small incremental things. A missed shot here, a little bad decision here, maybe being slightly late on a push there. All those kind of things are what adds up in what are basically good games like this one, keeping them from being great games, Ace Tankers. All right, man. Thanks for sending this in. I do appreciate it. For everybody else, I appreciate your support of the channel, and we will see you.